Well, we have with us another special guest. What's up, Christian?
Hello, my favorite philosophically inclined people.
Surprise! Rocking a goatee, man. Look at this.
Yeah, I gave it a shot, and I kind
What's
of
happening?
It, honestly.
Oh, let's zoom in on this goatee here. Oh, man, he's looking all respectable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're working on it.
Like
It still needs to grow in a little bit.
3 extra wisdom points for Christian just from the goatee. That's awesome. Come on, Shepard, it's your turn. You gotta we'll change.
I wish I could.
We'll change the YouTube channel to the goatees. All right. Terrible jokes aside, let's get into it. Okay, so I kind of want to preface this. I don't want to just crap on Passio followers. Okay, like from the very beginning of the entire thing, and I told everybody, I told Christian and I told Jim when we did our stream, I do not, this stream is pointless and will be ineffective if it comes off insulting. It was not only not my goal to come off as insulting, but it was my goal to not come off as insulting. And I should have realized that it was basically unavoidable. Like I tried. I realized that I think we failed at coming off as uninsulting because we had a guy in a Bucky costume, and people took that as like we were making light of the entire subject, or that we were, from the outset we were being disingenuous because we were just there to poke fun and wear stupid costumes and crack jokes for 13 hours. But I think anybody that was being genuine and was giving us the benefit of the doubt instead of not giving us the benefit of the doubt would have realized that as streamers trying to entertain people and get people to watch us digest some heavy philosophical concepts for 13 hours straight or whatever it ended up being, it couldn't be just dry. It couldn't be just us sitting in monk costumes, quietly staring at the camera and taking notes. Like, to keep ourselves engaged, we needed to cut up a little bit. I didn't know he was going to show up in an animal costume. I don't care that he did. And here's my response, because when we get into the comments on the videos, this was one of the most frequent comments that we got on the stream, was that, it was insulting of the guy to be wearing an animal costume or whatever. Like, if that is what it is, all it takes to cause you to disregard 12 hours of critique, then we were never going to convince you anyway. So it was almost like a shit test. It was like my hair used to be for people. Like, if you saw my hair with the white stripe going down the middle and you just turned the video off and made a snarky comment about how he looks like a skunk, I was never going to reach you to begin with. And you're finding the first excuse that you can to disregard the entire body of work. And that's not how philosophy, you will never get anywhere in philosophy if that's your idea. Philosophy is nasty. Philosophy is tough and difficult and rough and uncomfortable, really uncomfortable. It makes you challenge everything you've ever believed when you get into philosophy. And if a guy in a freaking beaver costume is all it takes to make you disengage, well, you were a lost cause from the beginning. So that's the first thing I wanted to say. The number one feedback that we got, and you can speak to this too, Christian, was just that it came off to people like we were being disingenuous and insulting intentionally, when in reality, it was just us attempting to make it a good time instead of a boring time. So, yeah, do you have anything to say on that, Christian?
Yeah. I think, look, for anybody who watched it, we were keeping live notes of everything he said. If he said anything important and there was a joke or something that made us miss it or whatever, we went back and we rewatched the stuff that we missed. And I don't know what we could have done to make it, again, like you said, unless we just sat there in like monk robes and just diligently took notes on a scroll. I don't know if there's anything else we could have done to make it like a more good faith approach to consuming the body of work. It's funny you talk about philosophy being kind of a brutal space. I've had a lot of fun actually over the last few weeks going through Enlightenment philosophers just talking the maddest shit about each other you would ever see. Like letters exchanged that are just nothing but personal insults and stuff like that. Like, don't get me wrong, these people also had arguments, but they weren't nice about any of them. It was like, you're such a buffoon. Now, how could you not see this just obvious hole in your stupid argument? You know, like, and we never did anything like that with Passio. All we did, and maybe we were a little impassioned by it because we invested a sizable chunk of our lifespan in watching it, but we gave poignant analytic critiques of the conceptions that were displayed in that video, and it just didn't meet our standards. It didn't. We didn't go on to talk bad about Passio's character. In fact, we went out of our way to say multiple times that it had nothing to do with him as a human being. It was literally just the ideas that were being presented. So if anybody took it as anything else, I'm sorry you took it that way. Literally no reason to, but I'm sorry if you did.
And I struggled to find, other than going the monk route, I really honestly struggled to find how we could have done better than we did.
What was your goal?
My goal was, well, I said it in the beginning. My goal was, I think I had 3 goals, and I'm probably going to forget one of them, but one was to show people how to properly vet a philosophical body of work, how to think through it,
Done.
how to challenge it, how to look for problems.
Done. Well done.
And 2,
all 3 of you.
And 2 would be to convince Passio's followers that they were following a body of work that was incomplete. And to that end, there's a whole lot of marketing involved, and you know, like I'm admittedly bad at marketing, and so maybe it was, you know, to my discredit or to my fault that we didn't craft that live stream in a way that achieved that goal as well as I wanted to. But I know I came to the positions I currently came to by fighting through being called every name in the book, by challenging every strongly held belief I've ever had, by listening to content creators and ingesting content and philosophical bodies of work that called me all sorts of names, didn't baby me, didn't hold my hand, was insulting and condescending often, and I cared about the truth enough to disregard all that. And
just to clarify, you are a Christian florist, right?
What?
No. Your demographic is not a Christian florist. You are a computer programmer. You're a computer guru.
Engineer. Yeah, sure. Let's say engineer. Yeah.
Yeah. So for your demographic, I would absolutely agree that that is the best way to reach your demographic is by punching the hard, cold truth, like Larkin Rose does. No, you're an idiot if you don't understand that, blah, blah, blah. That is how to get through to a person with a high IQ who believes in logic and reason and engineering stuff and understands the algebras, and that's how to get through to that person. Absolutely. And you got through. I think that way in some ways. You got through to me 100%. That was one of the best. Your look at Passio, other than the costume, that was so professional and wonderful. You guys kept reiterating, hey, we asked him to come and argue his own points. You guys gave him every chance. You treated it as respectfully as you could. I'm only arguing the marketing cute puppy dogs and cute gals aspect of it.
Yeah, but we didn't insult, and we didn't.
I agree.
We didn't do a lot of the things that I pushed through to come to the positions that I currently hold. Like I disregarded and fought through a lot of that stuff. And we specifically in that stream didn't do any of that stuff. We cut up, and we didn't mince words when we found problems. We didn't insult. We didn't talk shit. We didn't say things like Passio's a cult leader. Passio's smart enough to know better than to say the things he's saying. He's just saying this crap for clout. We didn't do any of that. We didn't. We just literally precisely evaluated the ideas and the lack of argumentation and ethics backing them up. We didn't, I mean, and we still get accused of this stuff, which kind of makes me not want to try anymore to be nice about it and just come out and say it. But I know that's not the answer. Kojal says, why not drop the personal insults then? I don't know. If you're talking to us, man, I don't know what you're talking about. You said you just turned it off. It wasn't helpful at all. Are you talking about our stream, or am I reading your comments out of context? Dude, if you had a problem with our stream, let us know what your problem was. I'm genuinely curious to hear it. It was just, whew. Okay.
Yeah.
Outlaw says, let me read one comment and then I'll hand it to you, Christian. Outlaw Barber says, that live stream was the absolute best philosophical breakdown of someone else's philosophical work. This is how we get to the absolute truth that is in our community. No insults, I heard. Thank you. I'm glad that you saw that. I agree. I'm glad that you saw that. That's what I was going for. Christian?
Yeah, I was going to say too, I don't usually hang around like the comments of videos or anything like that. Like, but I specifically wanted to track the comments of the video that video series, the conclusion, specifically to see what like the general reception was of it. And there was like a very consistent line, a couple consistent lines that a lot of people took, which was either that we were disrespecting Passio, and so like nothing we said was worth any value, which if we did, then I don't think we could have done a stream that would have been more respecting. I mean, maybe we could have like put an altar up with like a portrait of him in the back and like kowtowed to it every three. I don't know what else could we do really? So if that's your problem, I can't help you. We would never, no one is ever going to cover his work in a way that'll meet your criteria. I'm sorry to say that. And the others were all non-arguments, usually in reference to the non-arguments that we talked about in the video. And I think that kind of demonstrates the fact that for a lot of people, and this is unfortunate, it didn't matter at any point what we said. And I think we all kind of knew this going in. It's not like everybody who watched the video was going to be like, oh, wow, these are really salient critiques of Passio and his work. But all I wanted and didn't receive from almost anybody, I think there were a couple good comments. So if you were one of those people, don't worry. But what I wanted and didn't receive was people with salient criticisms or critiques of our own critiques of his work, or solid defenses that we could have a conversation on and kind of continue it from there. Because that could have been the stepping point into a next series of arguments. But there wasn't any of that. There wasn't any of that. None of it. Zilch. And that's, to me, was the biggest problem of like the reaction that I saw from it.
That's because you guys did a thorough good job.
You on You is asking, why don't we set up a table in Google Docs and write down all the problems you have with either party? The live stream in question, we had a Google Doc where we took notes and wrote down all the problems. So there is that. Okay, so now I want to do a flyover of some of the comments without dwelling too much on the cancerous ones, but just to kind of talk through the feel of the feedback that we got. And I won't do names because that's not conducive to learning anything, but let's just go through some of these. This is representational. I was hoping for a serious critique, and maybe I'm being hasty, but when you said that you shouldn't need 8 or 20 hours or even 2 weeks to learn or understand something, how long did it take you to learn how to talk or walk, or how long does it take to become a doctor? That was an extremely short-sighted comment, and I will revisit your video, but first impressions are everything. So why don't we do it like this? I'll read the comment. Christian, if you have anything to say, if either of you have anything to say, go for it. And then I'll move on to the next comment if I don't have any comment. So do you have any thoughts on that, Christian?
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of like an aesthetic critique. Like, I mean, you can disagree with it, but like to say that sets the whole mood for the entire conversation, like, because it's 8 or 10 hours, it cannot be correct. That's not what was being said. So I don't even really know what much to do with that. I'm sorry if you didn't like it, you know?
Well, I mean, we said that it shouldn't take 8 or 20 hours to understand something. I think the point is like, oh, what's the quote from Einstein? He says, if you can't, I forget what the specific quote is, but it's something like, if you can't explain it simply, maybe you don't understand it well enough, is something like the quote. if it takes you 8 hours to expect to describe your moral philosophy, maybe either you don't understand it well enough or there's a problem involved. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, he said that in reference to him talking about, how long did it take you to learn how to walk or become a doctor? Like, that's not, he said at the beginning of his talk that his talk would include everything we needed to know to understand his natural law. So we took in his entire body of work. So we did the equivalent of your analogy of taking the entire course to become a doctor. And at the end of it, when we were ready to be handed our doctorate, we realized that piece of paper was nothing. So that's my response. The next interesting comment, and I got a lot of this, was that our channel, Disenthrall, apparently has funny numerology. Moving on. The second most often comment was to get Mark on the show. Just invite him on. Just talk to Mark. And it's hilarious because it's these people admitting that they didn't watch the stream. Because one of the first things I said in the beginning of that stream is that I hate doing streams like that. I would much prefer to get the people on directly and talk to them face to face, like about our disagreements about their philosophy. Like if somebody, we're about to publish, Christian and I are about to publish the Anti-Subjectivist Manifesto, which is our attempt at crafting the most consistent, least arbitrary moral philosophy ever created. And if somebody out there has a problem with it, I want them to contact me and invite me for a conversation. I'm there immediately. I'm so excited to do it. And so I try and do that in the other direction too. Like if I have a problem with something somebody is putting out there, the first thing I do is contact them and invite them on the show to have a conversation. I did that with him through multiple channels, even up to and including standing next to each other on a debate stage at the Anarchapulco event coming up. And I said all this at the beginning of the stream that we did, and he denied and turned it all down. He wouldn't do it. He doesn't debate. And I said that at the beginning of the stream. So all the people that are saying that we're being disingenuous and are just trying to get clicks because we didn't invite Passio on and talk to him directly, you didn't even watch it or you would have known. And I think it's even more disingenuous to say shit like that without even watching the thing you're critiquing. Like, come on. Yeah, this is going to be a little ranty. Sorry, guys. You voted for it. Yeah, another one. A sheep can't see reality. Just have Mark on the show. Honestly, I couldn't bear 5 minutes again. Just have Mark on the show. It's just constant insults.
Did you reach out to Mark and invite him to be on the show for those who didn't watch that?
Yeah, that's what I was just saying. Yeah, the first thing I did months before the stream was attempt to contact Mark and invite him on to talk through his ideas. Second to that, I went through the Anarchapulco event committee to have them reach out to offer him a debate slot in the event to like be live streamed to the world to debate his natural law. Denied. So I did my due diligence. I did my best. And so what we were left with was doing a stream where instead of just doing talking heads where we cut up all of his content into little clips and did a takedown video, instead of doing that, we took his long form live stream of his entire exposition of his philosophy, watched it from beginning to end in real time and live commented on it. I can't imagine a more genuine, honest way to critique somebody's philosophy than how we did it, short of having him on face to face, which he refused to do. So all of the critiques that we're being disingenuous and flippant and not taking it seriously are just retarded. I'll say it like that. Okay. Let's see. Sorry, I'm scanning a lot of comments here. Feel free to talk amongst yourselves for a moment.
Let's see. You own you. Just popping in. Still not entirely sure what's going on or who's accusing who. I think Mark should work on his content delivery, narrowing it down to raw principles. Well, one of his arguments is that the entire video that we watched, every ounce of it is necessary to understanding his conception of natural law. So I think he genuinely believes he has boiled it down to raw principles. It's just hours of raw principles, right? I mean, there is some like compounding stuff, but I think you get what I'm saying. Like, I think in his mind, that is the trimmed down minimalist version that is like the bare bones what you need to know to see how this thing works.
And some years ago in Mexico, I walked into the beginning of one of his talks, and that was kind of his intro, is you have to listen to me for the rest of your life or you won't understand what I'm saying, or maybe I'm paraphrasing. And I listened to it for a little bit, and my BS meter was just going crazy, and I walked out. And so that is one thing that I was so impressed with you guys is you said, no, maybe our BS meter is going off. Each time it does, we're going to write a note or we're going to make a comment, but we are going to listen to the whole GD 8 hours or whatever it was. And so like that was the fairest torture that anybody's put themselves through to give someone a fair shot. Like, yeah, amen.
Amp 3083, who I think has a channel with a following or something, just a lot of like insults in the comments. Hardly a deep dive, more like a public spectacle that I can't take seriously. I mean, I guess we've already covered that. We don't need to go through it again. Another guy says, human freedom. This is an interesting critique. Human freedom is in its death throes. I see police drones and choppers flying over my small town every night, something that I just noticed in the last couple months. Why did you choose to drop this now? Of course, natural law is an irrational belief system. So is violent statism. But so I guess one of the critiques that several people raised in different ways, maybe this wasn't a good example, was why are you attacking your own side? We need to be attacking statism, not other conceptions of voluntarism. Christian, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I care about the truth. I don't care about the sides game. Like, I don't care if you call yourself a libertarian or an anarchist or a voluntarist. If you say something wrong, or that I believe is wrong, at least, I'm going to be like, yo, hey, what's up with this? We need to talk about this, or we need to look into this thing, because it's not the case. I don't care if you're Republican or you're a Democrat or you're a libertarian or you're an anarchist or you're whatever, a unicorn pixie fairy man. I don't care what you are, what you call yourself, or what your ideology is. All I care about is finding the truth. And I know a lot of people say that, but I think the fact that we are willing to quote unquote, eat our own or fight in our own side or something shows that we're not just trying to play some like political turf war game. Like, what we want is good ideas. That's it.
I want to do a whole show on that topic sometime.
Yeah, let's do it. Attacking statist ideas is like playing on easy mode. It barely interests me anymore. I've dissected that shit for 12 years now on this YouTube channel. Also, the second thing I'll say is that the reason why voluntarist philosophy has gotten as far as it has in only 30 years is because there is vigorous internal debate. There is sometimes vicious internal debate, where when somebody puts forward something that's wrong or something that conflicts with principles, as happens constantly lately on Twitter with me, apparently, people come out, they say that they have this libertarian position that is absolutely not libertarian, and we call it out. We point out why. We show the math. We show our work of why it conflicts with libertarian principles. We refine our principles and our ideology, and we get stronger because of it. We should be embracing the debate, and I always have and will continue to do so. I will debate somebody that is using the labels I use faster than I'll debate a statist, because the statists they're a dime a dozen, they're a million, they're everywhere, and that's easy mode, and it's barely even interesting anymore because I've done it so much. I mean, it's still really good, and I need to do it more than I do, for sure. But I'm interested in pushing the boundaries of where our philosophy has gotten us, and that means riding on the edge, and that means a lot of internal reflection and conflict and combat over our ideas. And it should be taken as healthy. It should be taken as like a favor. Like when somebody critiques me and points out a way that I'm wrong, I thank them. They're doing me a favor. They're paying me respect by critiquing my ideas. They're giving me their time. They are giving me their time and effort. They didn't have to. They're doing it on for my benefit. You thank them. You appreciate people when they critique you. Not some people have gone so far as Christian to basically say that we're being subversive to the freedom movement by questioning Passio. Like we're trying to undermine the liberty movement by questioning one of our own. It's like 180 degrees from the truth. We're trying to strengthen the liberty movement by making it more rational. Are you saying that attempting to make the liberty movement more rational weakens it? Well, then it needs to be weakened if that's the case. Just like I say, if freedom destroys something, Libertarian Party, then it deserves to be destroyed. Okay. Here's an interesting one. There's a reason why Passio won't debate you. You're stuck in a mindset that demands proof of everything, which makes you a nightmare to interact with on an interpersonal level. Psychic vampire might be a strong term, but those are the vibes you give off when you're demanding proof that slavery is immoral and things like that. Psychic vampire.
I feel like there's actually a bit of a nuanced perspective that I could give here that maybe people who haven't been in this position before don't think about. And it's like coming into a conversation or an analysis of a work as a blank slate, right? So when we say something like, well, Passio hasn't proven, I don't know the exact quote, but let's say I said it. I'll put the words in my own mouth. Let's say I said something to the effect of, well, Passio hasn't proven that slavery is immoral. Like, obviously, I hold the opinion that slavery is immoral, right? Like, that's my own perspective. But when we're looking at analyzing a body of work, we come in as a blank slate and we apply all of the rules. This is checking for consistency inside of the body of work. You apply all of the rules as a blank slate and you accept them on face value. Even if you critique them, you accept them on face value and see if the system even works as advertised, right? So when you put A to B to C to D, and then you're supposed to get the product E out, if it doesn't come out of A, B, C, and D, then you know that there's an issue with the internal consistency of the system that's being advertised. So when we say things like, Passio hasn't proven that slavery is immoral, it's not us saying like, slavery isn't immoral. How Passio can't prove that or whatever. Like, we believe that there are solutions to this, just not in what was advertised or what the premises didn't lead to the conclusion. So this is just, it's like a technique for analyzing these sorts of things. And it gets really hard when it's this long and there's that many steps. So I just, even more kudos for actually catching things like that. But
Psychic vampire. I'm going to treasure that
read
one.
that whole thing again, though. That was the best argument ever. Like, I don't like it when you guys want people to prove what they say. Wait a minute.
You're stuck in a mindset that demands proof of everything, which makes you a nightmare to interact with on an interpersonal level.
Yeah, if you can't prove anything. Yeah. It's horrible.
There's like a massive correlation I've noticed between people who are like rampantly opposed to like all forms of skepticism or solipsism or whatever, and like view it as like the devil, which, don't get me wrong, I'm not a fan of it. But also the same people who, like, anybody who seeks any sort of like epistemic or any sort of like rational truth seeking process are like lumped into that same category, because it almost seems to me like the like deaf and ends of what is being presented, I'm projecting a little, but it's like they subconsciously, they can't provide sufficient evidence to back those things up. So they're like, whoa, you skeptic solipsist, back up, bro. What are you doing? And it's very frustrating. I saw that a lot. I was called that a lot, and I'm not any of those things. I think reasonable standards of proof are fine, but it's just something I wanted to point out because I don't understand the link, but it is there.
Rape is wrong. That's an assertion. Show your work. Are you serious? Okay, we own ourselves. Patrick says, that's an assertion. Show your work. Endless loop. If you can't prove that rape is wrong, you've got problems. Oh, man. Yeah, here's another one. You want absolute proof that abusing children is wrong? Not happening, this guy says. But you can use common sense to avoid arguing over topics and wasting time.
No, Patrick, 30 seconds. Why is rape wrong? 30 seconds. Go.
Because it violates the consent of the person that owns the body being raped.
Bing, 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 bing.
Thank you.
No,
Was that in less than 30 seconds?
Round 2 would be, why is consent important? Because that's what separates us from animals. So if you want to interact with people on an animal level like the lions, then that's where you'll be. And if you don't, then you'll elevate yourself with things like self-ownership and property and consent.
Bro, spoiler alert. You're literally giving the whole anti-subjectivist manifesto away. What's up? You know?
I mean, it didn't take 8 hours. Oh, yeah. That's fine. All right, let's see. Here's another one. Keep in mind, this whole presentation is about making assertions. That was kind of the problem. He specifically said not to believe him. Believe it or not, this is a condensed presentation. Yeah, a lot of people were upset by me requiring or demanding that when Passio says slavery is wrong, I said, you need to show why. You need to show your work. And Passio says morality is objective. Prove it. You can't just say that shit and expect people to care. Although apparently a lot of people do. Okay. And why is that? Why do a lot of people not care? Shepard, that question's for you. Why do people not care?
I think that they have had the headlights come on when they turn the ignition on so much that they no longer think to pull the button. And they were not, very few people are taught how to think. They're taught what to think. And so very few people have the capacity to say, hey, why is it that I think that raping children is wrong? Well, no, of course it is. That's bullshit. That's me. I'll kick their butt. This is what I would do to them. No. Why really? Think deeply. Why is that wrong? And so many people just have this guttural response, which I happen to agree with, but they don't look at the deeper points. And I don't know how to fix that. I think the three of us on this screen are working on trying to find ways to help people fix that. But I don't think we've found the bullet yet.
Independent Misery over on Odysee says, but you could have just invited him on the show. Freaking good. Why is morality subjective, Patrick? 30 seconds. Because it doesn't exist in the fabric of reality. And so it necessarily is what you decide it to be. When we say something is evil, that is us applying what we think is evil to an interaction between people based on what we personally think is good and evil. There is no objective external source that we refer to when we make those judgments. That's the 30-second version. You have to provide evidence of the morality particle in the universe that like we said this in the stream, right? Like if we're getting outside of 30 seconds now, but I'm trying to illustrate the point further, right? Like if I witness one person stab another person to death, how do I know that that's evil? In reality, I whip out my evil particle detector and I point the scope at them and I look for glowing evil particles floating in the air around that interaction. And I'm be like, oh, look at all these evil particles. That was definitely an evil act. Look, all these particles. If you zoom in on the particles, they say evil. No, that doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. The morality of an interaction between people is a judgment that we place on the interactions that we encounter. And the equation that we use to make those judgments is up to us to decide. And clearly, there has been a myriad of equations used throughout the history of mankind. It used to be whatever God King said was good and evil. Then after that, it was the Catholic Church. And then after that, it was, whatever the Christian preacher said, or, whatever. Like it's been, and now it's whatever the CDC says. So like, there's been,
religion.
if these equations existed in reality, it would have been a lot harder for all these charlatans to fool people into thinking it was actually what they said it was, for example. If you ever want to have a conversation on Outlaw, you've been a long-time viewer, you are always welcome to come on the show, and we can go in deep on it if you want. So you're always welcome. I like having these conversations. Okay. Then let's go to a good comment. I'm going to mention this guy because I think it was the best comment we got on any of the videos. His name is Noble Phoenix, and he says, as a fan of Passio, I've got to say, you guys are absolute legends. He thoroughly enjoyed it. The science fiction movie theater style philosophy analysis is awesome, and he hopes to see more of it. Well, hell yeah! That makes me want to do it again, Thank you for that. And then he gives some substantive feedback on things for us to look into that referred to some of the other stuff Passio talked about. So good on that guy. Thank you. Let's see. Talk amongst yourselves. I got to find some more comments. Sorry.
Yeah, I think we got a comment. Where can I hear more on your perspective of morality, subjective versus objective? I think, well, on Patrick's channel, there's probably dozens of videos you can look into that go into the topic. But I think it's going to, you're truthfully, I don't know if it's going to go much deeper aside more analogies than like, look, we have a certain non-arbitrary standard for proof or what is true, and we expect things to meet that. If you have an arbitrary standard of truth that allows for other conditions, then truth is kind of like a meaningless term, right? So we set these things up in a manner to where they require evidence to be considered good, true knowledge. And then we move with those things as tools to like build up a moral system or something like that. And we haven't found any instance of an objective morality that meets that criteria. There are a lot of people who try, thousands of years, people have tried to do it. It just doesn't seem to be a thing that exists in reality. However, you'll make all of our lives a lot easier if you figure it out. So if you've got the sauce, it's always an interesting topic. But that's just the current position, I suppose. Wanted to get that out there. Were you going to say something, Shepard? Or
yeah, I think that it is exactly that. It is a system, and it is a system that I biasedly, subjectively like. The system that you have for deciding truth. And I have several friends that are very devout theists, and we have these conversations and we try to get deep and we can't because we have different systems. And if you agree with that system, then we can still be friends. We can still go fishing together and we can still drink whiskey together, but we can't have an intellectual decision. One of my best friends in the world is going to come hang out at our ranch for a couple days starting tomorrow. He was so hurt a couple months ago when I said, you are not an intellectual. Well, no, he's a Lutheran minister. He is not an intellectual. He's very high IQ. He's a very nice guy. He's very persuasive, but he does not look at things with intellect. He looks at them with faith. And faith is a different system than intellect. And maybe the two can meet. Definitely people from each of the different systems can be buddies and go fishing together and hang out together. We can definitely agree that raping children is wrong. We can definitely agree that stealing is wrong. There are lots of things we can agree upon. But if you don't believe in kind of the stuff Christian's talking about, the reason, the logic, the intellect, you can't really call yourself an intellectual. And that's not bad. We could be wrong. You can't really prove us wrong, though, because you'd have to use intellect for us to believe it. And if you come to us with faith, we're not going to believe it. So I don't know where a person would prove us wrong. I don't know how that could happen. I want them to. I want there to be a system, but I don't know what it would be.
To that point, I only have a few comments left here to go over, but this one is exactly what you were just talking about, Shepard. This guy says, when you have someone cite a book written by Sam Harris's wife about consciousness as a good book on the subject, you know these people are not in tune with Passio. And then Christian says, arguments and claims don't require anyone to be in tune with anything. They require substantiation and evidence. I don't have to vibe with you to accept that the sky is blue, nor do I have to not vibe with you to point out faulty reasoning. BTFO'd. Oh, man.
Awesome.
All right, here's one. Here, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, if you're in the chat for whatever reason and you took me being a little attitudinal personally, it just we're different humans, man. We have very different criteria for what for what makes up true, accurate knowledge, and mayhaps is irreconcilable. I don't know.
So here's another comment from Amp 3083, who's got following. So he says, and this is disappointing, the way he communicates his disagreement. In another video, Pat watched Mark's video while multitasking the live stream, giggling and commenting how he likes the music at least. True research isn't done as a public spectacle. In his server, he tells people to step up as though truth were a championship trophy you win by knockout. He's got the attitude common to his cult, which is, wait, let me get my arms folded. Okay, prove it to me. Go. There is no one to step up, no competitor seeking entry into his tournament of fools. There's no person here, just an idea. The idea has been presented at a location accessible to him. It's no one else's job to make it fit inside his head. If Pat is looking for freaks to drag out onto his carnival stage so he can get views or likes or whatever these self-promoters place on the altar of their empty soul, he's looking in the wrong place. His doorbell has been rung and there is a package outside. The deliverer is gone. It's up to him what to do now. But like you said, he's unwilling to do the work because, quote, "my evidence."
Damn good writer.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was like, I need to know who's his speechwriter because I need to get some.
That is awesome.
I mean,
it's all bullshit, but it's awesomely wrong.
Hyper eloquent nothing. I mean, so again, let me summarize as generously as I can. He saw it as a public spectacle. We've already kind of addressed that to the degree that we can. Truth is as a championship trophy to win by knockout. I don't really disagree with that. Like, truth is truth. Facts don't care about your feelings. And if somebody's speaking untruth and you challenge them to back it up and they don't, Mark Passio, then you win. You win because they didn't even show up. And so anyway, let's see what else. He calls me fools. We have a cult. Like, this is all manipulative nonsense language that makes me not care about your opinion. It's not an actual critique. It's just using words that make us sound nefarious rather than addressing our critiques, which shows that you have no, like if he had a valid critique of our response to Mark Passio's work, you'd think he would have led with that rather than call us fool cult leaders.
I turned my house over to you guys because I wanted to.
Anyway, all right. So that was that one. You even said, here's another person. You even said in this video that you agree with about 90% of what Mark says, yet you created 5 videos titled The Junk Science of Mark Passio. Please reconcile this contradiction. Easy. And I want to fold the, go ahead, Shepard.
Nope, that's it. You can, no.
Yeah, no, it's we said in the video multiple times that we agree with Passio's conclusions. Like, if you have an equation that's like 2 + 9 equals truth and or equals rape is bad, I'm going to say, wow, I don't know how you got 2 + 9 equals rape is bad, but I agree that rape is bad. That's what we were saying. We were like, we agree with his conclusions, rape is bad, But his math wasn't actually math. That was just nonsense. That's what we were doing. Why were we doing it? Again, because I got accused in direct message by somebody else that said it was very egoic of us to create 13 hours of content spread across 5 YouTube videos going after this Mark Passio guy and his philosophy. What an ego Patrick must have had to want to do that. It's like, God, does anybody have any arguments around here? Can I get an argument? Please. No, like, I think I'm trying to steelman what it would look like if I had an ego. Like, if it really was about the ego of it, I wouldn't have contacted him first, because that might have proved that if I contacted him and he took me up on my request to have him on the show to debate, he might have proven me wrong. That's a risk to my ego. A person that was all about ego wouldn't have done that. Certainly wouldn't have invited him on the show for a 1-to-1. A person that was all about ego would have chopped up his content into little tiny 5-second segments, did a talking head YouTube takedown video, because that will make me look a lot more right than a 13-hour video hardly anybody will watch will. And that will help my ego. That'll pump my ego, and my view counts would be a lot higher if the videos were 10 minutes long instead of 45 minutes and 12 hours or whatever. This is just nonsense. It's very frustrating to me.
I'm going to interrupt for a second. I'm looking at the chat. I wanted to see if there's one from Mark that says, "This is BS. Let's just work this out. Can I come on, kick Shepard and Christian off? Let's chat it out."
Right now.
Yeah, I don't see it. Yeah, I don't see it.
I would kick you guys out of here so fast. Like, he would be on the show. He would be on the show in seconds. And I would be happy for him to prove me wrong. Man, that would be a great conversation. Wish it could happen. Okay, only 2 more. Here's a rant. What exactly is the point of this video? So you are moral relativists? Is that my understanding? I have yet to see you put forward even 1% of the effort Mark has put forth in espousing truth and making positive change. Furthermore, I'm supposed to listen to you, some chickmunk costume wearing dude, and another guy who just stares. I think they were talking about you there, Christian. Or maybe me. I guess it could have been me. Nah.
Professional wrestler. Come on.
Yeah. No, well, that means you're assuming I'm the pedo. So for the record, I'm out. Good luck with your science, in quotes, and idea of morality, in quotes. You lost my respect with this video completely. If you had an actual constructive point to make with this $80 waste of energy, maybe I'd stick around to see if there were any further nuggets of truth to be gained from you. I followed you for a reason at some point, but I've long since forgotten. Okay, so the point I wanted to
stripe in the hair.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it must have been.
Do I need to bring that back?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what other reason he could have followed you for, because it's the same content basically. But sorry.
Yeah, no. So the most salient point I can make from that is, like, several people came out and said, I'm unsubbing, unfollowing. You're not what I thought you were, Patrick. Like, this is all cult manipulation strategies where you disassociate from me loudly and publicly to try and shun me. And I will add to that a fact that most people don't know is that Disenthrall as a platform has lost more subscribers over that live stream than I've ever lost from anything else I've ever done. Any of the status challenging videos, any of the other philosophical content that I've done where I critique other people's stuff, pale in comparison to the number of supporters that canceled their support over that Passio live stream. I'm not here for your money, even though I've got a lot of people accusing me of doing this entire channel to get clout and subscriber money. That's absurd. I hardly get any money from this entire endeavor. We're talking a couple $300 a month on a good day. I'm not about the money. I'm not here for that. And it's absurd when I get these accusations. It's just so ignorant. Would I do it again in light of the supporters that I've lost over that live stream? Hell yes, in a second. Even if I was getting thousands and thousands of dollars a month from support, This channel is about the truth. That's it. That's what I want. I want the truth. If I'm wrong, I want to know, because it affects my life. I want to live my life in accordance with what's true. And if you're going to unsub. If you feel like you don't want to support what I do here with your money, I don't want you to support what I do here with your money. I want you to be happy, do you, live your best life, support us if you think we're doing good work. We could definitely use it, because I've got an editor now that basically gets all of the money that gets donated, right? I just turn around and hand it to the people that help me produce this content by doing the editing and stuff that I don't have time to do anymore. Supporters, you guys are awesome. You literally make it possible for me to create more content, because I'm able to use that money to pay people to help me do the editing and the hard work that goes on behind the scenes off camera. But I will never compromise truth. I will never soften the message for fear of losing a supporter. I want to make that completely clear. Now, this is not me chastising the people that chose to end their support. I'm chastising the people that have DM'd me to flaunt that I have lost support over that live stream. I literally don't care. I care about the truth infinitely more than I care about supporters. So that's the point I wanted to make to that. Christian, you have anything before I do the last one? Christian Shepherd?
Yeah. I lost nothing from doing the live stream, but I think it was a good thing to do. And believe it or not, even though we ran ourselves ragged at the end there, I think it was fun. I really enjoyed going through the work and getting the opportunity to test these ideas and to put all of these strategies in place for analyzing these hyper complex arguments and looking at them step by step and in the broad strokes and whatnot. It was fun. So I don't regret doing it. And I'm sorry if you didn't like what we did, but I don't think we could have done it nicer. I mean, like, think of anybody else who does any kind of content covering anybody else's stuff. I can't imagine anywhere else you would have gotten as softball of a game.
Amen. The content artist formerly known as an anarchist once said it beautifully, Stefan Molyneux. He said something to the effect of, he says, I have produced, however, 3,000 hours worth of content, 6 books, blah, blah, blah. He said, this is an answer to my child's future question. Daddy, the world is crap. What did you do? And he said, I can answer my daughter and say, I produced 2,300 hours of podcasts, 600 hours of video, 4 books, blah, 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 blah. That's what I've done. Honey, I did my best. And I think at that point, he wasn't in it for the money. And even if he was, nothing wrong with that. But I think that there is a certain purity and loyalty that comes with the income that we each receive from our freedom activism and our search for truth. Yeah, exactly. And actually, I got to say, like, I am now making like $8 to $12 a month on book sales. So, okay, maybe I'm a greedy capitalist pig and maybe I'm doing it for the money. But the truth is, I want to be able to say many years from now, I think a certain thing. I could be wrong, but I think it. Nobody's proven me wrong. So I'd kind of like to put it out there. Here's my effort. I don't think that's a bad thing.